We're up.
It is going.
Alright. I'll call this meeting to order. We'll stand for we'll do our roll call first.
All here.
Erickson here.
Warner here.
Grant here.
And per here?
And Keel here. And join me on the stand for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Alright, well, thanks for joining us today on our regular meeting. I guess we'll move into, do we have looking for approval of agenda? I heard Troy mention something about, we have mentioned something about the minutes, Troy, or?
Yeah, a question on the minutes. Pulling
For which meeting?
let's see here. Find minutes here. Okay, the school board minutes of July 15th, 2026. Scroll down, try to figure where it's at here now. We start talking about our unassigned, yeah, is it? On the first page there. It says unassigned funds of 1.2 million is a debt plus bonds. The total debt is 1.6 million. We should change that to, the total of the two is 1.8, or a little over 1.8.
So include.
You had 1.2, we were talking about the 660,000 in the
bond.
capital facility bonds. The two together, probably should state in there, it's 1.2 million in debt plus 660,000 in bonds for a total of 1.86. Just so we have the right numbers sitting in there for the public.
Mm-hmm.
I think that sounds fair to me, is it?
That sound correct, Tim?
That'll work.
Alright,
Would you run those figures by me one more time, please?
1.2 million is the debt. There was like roughly
665,000.
665,000 in capital
Capital
facility
facility.
bonds.
Was it 1.2 even?
1.208
1.208.
Right.
So roughly.
roughly. And so you'd be the total, then be 1.865.
Thank you.
And we're not sure if we can pay that off at any time or not. We think we can, we haven't verified that we can pay it off early.
We can.
We can.
Yep, when
Okay.
Shelby presented, she said that the particular person we went through the financial institution, they did give us the ability to pay it off at any time.
Oh, super.
so. I made notes for that correction, Doreen, you got it? Perfect. Alright, was that the only thing we needed to go through for approval of the agenda? Alright, do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
So move.
Troy, with the notation of the minute correction. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Jake. Hearing no other corrections or comments, all in favor to approve our agenda, say aye. Opposed? Motion carries to approve our agenda. We'll move into our public comments. Looks kinda empty. Thanks. Otherwise, we move right into, you doing the chip for the childcare?
Yep.
Yeah, we can move right into the update from you, so,
Awesome.
can't remember your name, so.
I'm Grady Holberg. I'm
Thanks.
the Economic Development Coordinator for the county. I've got a little bit of info I'll pass around here. I just got this today from First Children's Finance.
Okay,
With some of the numbers on finances and costs that would be associated with it, and not really anything that the school would be responsible for, just to kind of give a picture of everything that would need to be included. So yeah, we had a chance to look through the space. I think it was sometime in July we went through with the licensor. And honestly, that space is just about perfect for a childcare room. We didn't know it had a bathroom in it already, but it has a toilet in there, and its own sink that's dedicated. That was pretty much half the battle, was just making sure it had that in there, so that's good to go. The only question that we had from the fire marshal was if I think it's like a vestibule kind of at the end, if that had a lock on the kindergarten side, said kindergartners couldn't just run back and forth through there, and Dr. Godfrey confirmed that it does have the ability to lock. So from the fire marshal, it's all approved. We're now at a point of, once we have a provider selected for it, they can apply to the state to have the space actually licensed for care. They would come in and inspect it. And they would come and inspect whatever space would be used for care. So if you would offer the gym for them to use for indoor time or whatever, they could look at that, and just kind of make sure everything's good to go. But I don't think, from the designs we got from Dr. Godfrey, the fire marshal and DCYF didn't present any concerns with it. They would just need a licensor or a license holder to apply that would carry that license then moving forward. So we're kind of now at a point of we're needing approval from the board to actually open that space or offer that space to a provider, so that they could go through the license application with DCYF. And I just talked to Rebecca a couple minutes ago. She wasn't able to make it here tonight. She had some budgetary items she had to meet with some folks on tonight. But she does have 2 individuals in town that are interested in providing care. One of them would be pretty much ready to take the keys, open the door and get going. One of them was potentially looking a little further out, maybe was gonna be having a baby soon, so was just looking at probably starting after coming back from that. But we had discussed, if there are multiple individuals interested, we could put together a quick application process that they would apply to. And then ultimately, if the school board or if the school's leasing the space to this person, you guys would have the decision on who would be renting it, or if you wanted to more kind of hand that power over to Rebecca, you could do that as well, kind of however the board would want to do that. And I know insurance was kind of the biggest question, so I got more information and answers on that. There's kind of 2 routes to go. One is if the school board wanted to actually take ownership of the program, which I'm assuming is probably not the route you wanna go. There's a lot more involved. You would actually have to apply for the license. It's a lot. The other alternative is just to basically act as a landlord for them. So the provider would carry their own liability insurance for the business that would cover all liability for any space that they're licensed to use for care. And then the school board would only really be responsible for paying, well, you don't pay the taxes on it because it's a public building, but then just the facility insurance itself, which I'm assuming the whole building is already insured in some way. It would just, under that same policy, it would just fall under that and stay as status quo.
Who's responsible for cleaning that room?
That again could be up to you guys. If you wanted to offer that your custodians would do it, you can do that, or you can just say this is your room, you're in charge of cleaning it, that's on you. So totally up to how the school would wanna do it. And that's kind of factored into these numbers too here of typically the provider is responsible for that. And there's a lot of state requirements for cleaning already, like they have to disinfect the whole room if a kid gets sick, or at least minimum times a week they have to clean the room. So they'll probably need to do it more often than what may already be being done by the custodians here. So that would probably be the easiest, just let them kind of take care of it, and then they would just kind of budget for their cleaning supplies and costs.
What's the number, would that be a year-to-year commitment?
We would like, or it'd be optimal if at least to start out, if we could get a couple years of commitment that this could be open, just to give a provider some time to get on their feet. And we had talked to Dr. Godfrey about that a little bit, just with enrollment numbers always kind of being fluctuating, that may not be doable, but if we can at least get the first couple years going, let them get some stability and kind of get a name built for themselves. Then we could probably look at it on a year-to-year basis, and if the enrollment numbers are changing, hopefully we could at least have some additional locations identified and move them to if you need to open that room back up.
Right now, enrollment numbers, what we expected with the smaller kindergarten enrollment, so we lost about, I think 20 students, kindergartners, so we have a smaller kindergarten class coming up. So right now we have 2 vacant rooms on the first floor. 3rd grade, Miss Batalden went to our tech coordinator position, and then the Miss Dusher who went to the English position. I would say, I mean, it'd be hard to determine kindergarten enrollment for next year at this time. I would say we probably know that in spring, but I foresee us having a vacant room on the first floor for at least 2 years. If we happen to do the daycare pod, we would just keep them in that room, and then whatever, extra grade we need to add, we'll move into the other vacant room, just so we don't have to shuffle back and forth. I do have a question about you have the rent here and end of year one, I mean, it's projected of course. So is that the potential revenue from end of year one?
Yes, yeah, and that includes the additional startup costs that are associated with that first year of operation. Because typically in that first year, and this is more for like in-home settings, they have to buy a lot of toys, they have to buy maybe some furniture, maybe modify the home a little bit. Here, I don't think that'll be as much of an issue. Toys and curriculum materials are probably the most expensive thing. I think one other item too that we talked about was like if, cause during the summer, there's no school lunches offered. They would probably need to have like a fridge in that room so that they could have lunch available. So that's just something the provider would probably need to purchase and bring in or have available, and that's, again, that's something the school wants to offer, but totally up to you guys on how you wanted to do that or would want to.
Your packet here is like for a potential daycare provider. This is not really board.
No.
I mean, you have a lot of additional information here that would not apply to us.
But, so my next question would be if that would be, say, hypothetically, end of year one revenue for the provider, what typically, have you worked with other successful daycare pods in other schools or other facilities?
We've worked a little bit with the Milroy Pod provider, but now that that school's closed, that's just kind of changed things immensely from that. But they were doing very well operating out of that facility, and the provider ended up just kind of bringing in a lot of things to make that space more usable for their end. But from what we had discussed with the school board there and the provider, it was a really great partnership that they had. It was a space that the school wasn't gonna have a use for any foreseeable future. I mean, their enrollment just continued to decline until they finally closed.
So did they lease that space?
Yes, yep, they leased that space, and it was for very minimal. I think it was around $150 a month. I don't know 100% for if that's the number, but I can find out to be sure.
You know what, like an average lease, like around the state, do you have any other input from other areas on what their average?
I just talked to our gal from First Children's Finance today about that, and she said there really isn't an average, like a solid number that is statewide because everybody does a little bit differently. Some schools offer it for $1 a month just because they have it available, they're not looking to make money off it, but they need the care in that space, so some folks do that. Other schools, I can't remember which one she told me about today, but there's another one that charges, I think, $500 a month, but they offer, like, they come in and clean the space every single day, they do lunches throughout the entirety of the year. There was a number of kind of additional amenities that they threw in for that provider to kind of make that more attractive to be affordable or to cover that price. The advice I got from her today was like 500 is like the absolute max that she would recommend charging. That's where it gets to be really difficult to make any money for providers. That's kind of where that end line is. But anywhere, like I had her draw up these numbers for what would like $100 a month and what would $250 be a month, just to kind of give us an idea. And I do have, she sent like a full breakdown of the cash flow and cost analysis for both of those scenarios. I can send those over to Dr. Godfrey. They were just also, I think, about 10 pages each. I didn't want to print both of those and send them around for everybody. But if anyone wants to see them, I'm more than happy to send them over.
Are you working with any other businesses in Lamberton on this sales pitch or this idea?
We tried working with the nursing home for
Yep.
a while because they had a lot of space that they
A
were
ton
willing
of
to open.
space.
Right.
Yep, and I think it was right around the winter time when the fraud accusations started coming out of the metro area. The owners came back, and the owners are from I think
New
New
York.
York out of somewhere. They saw it in the news and said, "We're not touching it. We're done." And that was extremely frustrating because we could have opened I think 3 pods.
You could open a wing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That was kind of what we were looking at, and it wouldn't have been too difficult to modify for that, but they just have completely shut us out since then. We've had other just informal support over the years too, like Highwater supported because they have employees that would benefit. They've probably been the biggest one. I mean, they're the biggest employer near the area, so I think that's kind of been the majority of it that I've had so far. I could talk to Rebecca, and I would imagine she's had a lot more interactions with the local businesses that would be in favor of it.
Yeah, I mean, just to be quite frank, I have a lot of hesitation with this, but it's also very premature and we haven't adequately discussed this.
Just out of
Sure.
curiosity, like knowing it's gonna be here, do like employees at the school have like top, could they?
You could do that, you could write that in to your lease agreement with the provider that, X percentage or X amount of slots be reserved for staff on the school. You could do that.
My immediate hesitation are two things. First, that rent would be too low to cover our expenses, so we still have to pay utilities, overhead just for the building itself, maintenance on the building itself. At $100 or $1 a month, we're not even covering our expense. And then secondly, the liability with having a renter. I mean, we have other lease agreements for when people wanna utilize our building. And they have to have that all buttoned up just so, with their insurance and everything. Where if we had people walking in the hallways, utilizing our gym, I think I said it in the last meeting, a kid's eating in our commons area, that's not the room that's insured, so how would that all work?
So how it's all done is by what the licensor determines as their eligible space, or their approved licensed space. So whatever space you would open up to the provider, DCYF would come in and say, yes, this space is approved. And then when they get their insurance, they would include that and say, this is all the usable space that we would be using. Then that's covered under their policy, their liability policy. So if they are utilizing the gym for a period of time, like especially if it's in the summer and it's raining when there's not other kids out, someone gets hurt, that's all covered by their liability because it's under their approved space for the business. It's space that they are renting through you guys.
Yeah,
What if-
then the question always also just kind of becomes, daycare has maybe a little more loose rules day over day than our teachers and their schedules and their curriculum. I never ever, not once, want a teacher to have to shoo kids out of a space because they're trying to get their kids into a classroom. Or it cannot impact our ability to service our enrollees.
Yeah.
Even though I do see a benefit, I know the need, I was there once with young kids, but a lot of hesitation.
Has there like been any community outreach of like how many kids potentially could utilize this?
Oh gosh, I'm trying to remember what your guys' numbers were the last I looked at it. I think you guys had a need for over 60 slots.
And that's
Within
coming
the
from
city.
coming from where?
Coming from, that's First Children's Finance's actual analysis of our area, which they go by birth rates and they go by birth rates, children enrolled in school, daycare slots available in the area.
So basically like, surveys and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Not
they
like
do,
people
they
who
have,
have actually
yeah.
expressed.
Right, that's right,
Yeah, they get access to a lot of aggregate data that just shows what the overall numbers
Yeah.
show, but also like just me and Rebecca anecdotally, we've reached out to folks, we've had a lot of just discussions, and there's still a need from what we're hearing. People are driving all over the place for care. I think there's like one person out of Revere still that a lot of folks are going to, but she's been full. I think a lot of folks have had to go to Obasso, Westbrook Grove, Walnut Grove, Springfield. I know there's a lot that drive out there, so people are making it work, but there's better options and there's better solutions that could be made available. Also just to kind of answer your question too about like the space and other students, I think that can also all very well be easily mitigated as well too. And we talked with Dr. Godfrey, really the only space you would need to make available to them outside of that room would be the outdoor recess area or the playground, because they need to have some green space to play. But recesses are scheduled, they have morning and afternoon recess, right? And I think that actually works perfect for daycare, because usually about those times are their quiet times. In the morning and the afternoon, they have a nap time or at least a quiet time for the young ones. So they would really only be using it like in the early morning after the kids come in, after the first bell, and then probably after all the kids have left school or finished school for the day. Is typically about the times they're on the playground. Other than that, like even if it is bad weather outside, you wouldn't need to particularly make the gym space available to them. That room is more than big enough where they could use it indoor all the time. They would just need to have that green space available when it's nice out per regulations. And even like the food situation too, like they wouldn't have to go down to the cafeteria if you didn't want them to. Like you could have cafeteria staff prep a tray or carts that either someone brings down or the provider can go get really quick and bring back. There's a lot of ways to minimize those interactions and make things just flow a lot smoother.
So on that side, we gotta make sure that everything can match what our staff can do there too, as far
Yeah.
as nutrition, everything. You don't want, you can't just create a special menu for the childcare, I wouldn't think.
No, and they shouldn't need to. I would assume that, I mean, your guys' food regulations are
Yeah.
gonna be more strict than any family providers are
Yeah.
gonna be. So whatever you guys are serving is gonna be more than sufficient for what they need. Just, probably just smaller quantities is what they'll need.
But then, cause then they were looking at, they'd have to share the hallway for entry, I guess, and
Yeah, like that, we had discussed probably most ideal would be the end of that hallway for entry and exit, just because it's right next to that door, and it is also right next to kind of the drop-off lane. If parents could use that area for pickup and drop-off in the mornings and evenings, that would work out pretty well. And then that leaves the whole front entrance area open for students where they should be entering and not having the two groups kind of getting stuck in the middle anywhere.
there's that age, all ages in, I guess, for the daycare, I'd be eligible for it from newborns to, or what's,
Yep, yeah, they would take, they can only have maximum of 2 infants per family provider unless they were able to bring in another teacher. So, and I'd have to really look at the space if it, and the numbers on if it's big enough to bring in a second teacher for additional slots. But, minimum 2 infants, I think it's then 3 to 4 toddlers and like 5 to 6 pre-K and school age. It all, depending on how many kids of what age you have, sort of determines how many more you can take of different ages. It is a nightmare. It's complex, just coordinating all of those things, but it's essentially 12 kids is the max that any provider can have. Family provider, that's just one person. It's just the amounts of what kids at what age they can have vary depending.
I think there's a lot to discuss.
Yeah, very premature.
But all that, again, would be the provider's responsibility. That would be them, between them and licensing to make sure that they're on par with that. Yeah, really the school's only main role would be the landlord, and then if you'd be willing to provide the meals, just working that out with the provider.
In this summer, they need access to probably a refrigerator if we don't provide meals, and it sounds like.
They would need one, but again, that's something you can either, if you wanted to offer it, great. If not, that's something that the provider could figure out too. That's not uncommon, where if a space is available, the provider just needs to bring in those pieces of equipment to make it work for them. Not unlike, really any other business that's renting a storefront, they bring in whatever space they need and they pay rent for the building costs. And if you'd like to see, more numbers, like on what it would look like for the provider, or just anything else based on a certain rent that you'd like to charge, I can have them draw out cash flow projections and business models on really any price or anything. I kind of had them just run the 100 and the 250 because I didn't know what numbers you guys were thinking as far as a rental price, but that is absolutely something we can negotiate, and I can provide more info on if there's questions on that.
I think so. We really gotta review to see if it's a route we wanna go, and there's a need. But
Do the cities, like, obviously we're not the only town that is in need of this, do cities ever work with you guys on that end to try to, like, that necessarily, the school doesn't work out, but the city has something that they could do, or?
I mean, I've been trying to work with the city for the last couple of years since I started this job on like what different options can we pursue, and we just keep running into barriers one after another. I mean, we've tried, and there's always things we can try. Biggest hang up is always money. Like we've looked at trying to build some childcare houses on like some of the vacant lots they have, because there's like 2 of them in town, I think, where they pulled some bad houses off of. We had looked at just putting, like a small home in there that would fit the requirements for daycare that somebody could rent, and if it doesn't work out, then you have another house that you could at least sell. And we had Val had put in a grant application that we had committed some funds for, and we just weren't awarded. It was too competitive.
What about the senior center attached to the library that has a full kitchen, a separate closed off room, bathrooms?
I'm not sure. We hadn't looked at that one at all.
I mean, it's there, it's utilized, but not daily by any means, like it could be a Monday through Friday.
Is that owned by the city or?
And like you said, we wouldn't have to, it could just be Monday to Friday, we wouldn't have to have an option, we just say that's the only time they have access.
And that's probably the only days that they would need access. The only difference is typically they would be open from like 6:30 to 5:30. So if they'd be able to have access to the building during that time.
I think like I said, I'll just only speak for myself, but I think this is very premature. We're a ways off from being able to actually make a decision on this. I would like to properly vet. I would like to talk to schools who have actually entered into some sort of a lease or a landlord situation to kind of gauge their feedback on that. I know one of our immediate neighbors, if you ask their school board or a lot of their facility, what their biggest problem in their building is, it's the fact that they had a daycare operating out of there. But they also, staff, actually took on the full burden of, yeah, it's not just leasing. I just think we need to do a lot more research and research into the pricing too and what that could possibly look like. And to our current lease agreement as it stands and what we would require. Maybe what we're thinking is so far apart from what a provider would actually find to be realistic. I don't know.
How does that work, like if the room gets damaged or, you know?
You could have them do a security deposit, or you could also just put in the lease agreement that they'd be liable for any damages. Otherwise, the school's insurance would be kind of the backup on it, if there needed to be a claim filed.
Yep.
It would kind of boil down to that. Otherwise, yeah, there's ways to write in contingencies that they would be responsible for any damages and repairs.
Yeah, so then like ultimately another question is just simply, is it something that we want to get into? Do we wanna act as a landlord? I mean, we do, what we do today is very short term, so events, different things of that nature, but not something quite this committed.
Sure. Yep, I get that.
Cause I guess one thing that jumped out at me is, for the liability, if you said if you're agreed to a signed area, what happens if the kids, how kids are, sometimes they'll stray off, or it's just natural what happens if something happens outside of their assigned area or agreed upon use area. Does that come under the school liability, or is that still?
That would still be under their liability, because it's still under their program. They're enrolled in the provider's program, not under the school's program.
Okay.
There is a little bit of a PR component to that though too that has to be considered, which is if something were to happen badly in the daycare setting,
Yeah.
they are still, people are going to perceive that as it happened at our school,
I understand.
and under our care, so that is certainly something, I think that's what you're kind of trying to get at,
That, and then,
that would have to be considered.
just the fact that you never know you'd hate to have them, you don't want anybody getting hurt, but what if they went the wrong gym and they got hurt and
Yeah.
they weren't allowed to or approved for, so.
Yeah, and other providers kind of have the same situations, where like they go on field trips all the time, where they take the kids to
Yeah.
some of the location. Same sort of deal, if a kid were to get hurt at a playground or museum, wherever, it would fall under the provider's liability, because they're enrolled in that program and under that provider's care during that time.
I think this is it's not gonna be a cut and dry decision for us, I think.
Yeah, well, and I knew there was questions, and I wanted to at least come and answer at least as much as I can, and if there's more information you want me to provide, or if there's more things you think about, after we're done today, or as you discuss, I'm happy to take part in more discussion or provide more information.
Sounds good.
I think this is still a great option. It's much more viable than we thought, honestly. I didn't really know there was the bathroom. That was really a big kind of hinging point that this was on. But now just knowing that the space really is really very ideal for this type of setup, it just seems a shame not to continue to pursue it, for me at least.
Yeah. Yeah, right up until we get another kindergarten class that needs that bathroom space in their classroom, that would also be a tricky component.
That's where you hate to get locked into it and then all of a sudden we realize enrollment went up.
You almost
We find
couldn't.
out-
Especially for families, like all of a sudden they leave some daycare to come here, and then all of a sudden 2 years, like, oh, sorry, we're done, and then they don't have anywhere else to go,
Right.
and all of a sudden they have no daycare. So, which is, I don't know.
The irony of it having it might increase enrollment naturally, but then over. overdoes our.
We
our
kinda thought that
commitment.
with our after school care program too, and I don't know that we saw any great increase in. And it's a very nice thing to have, I was grateful my kids went there, I love that we do have it, but is it a driver in enrollment?
Yes. Probably all in with family to family, it's different.
Yeah,
Oh, is there any other questions? Or I think we're kind of getting a lot of information,
Yeah, and it's a lot to consider, I know there's a lot of angles to look at
Yeah.
it from too, so. Yeah, my goal is to at least provide as much of the information as I could, answer many questions as I could, and, you know, if I could come back in a month maybe and look at it again, or if there's more discussion that needs to be had outside of here, I'm happy to do whatever we need to do.
Well, would we be able to gauge the need and or, you know, possibility that people might consider with a survey or something like that? Is that okay? Is that out of line?
you know what's really hard? As a parent, I am not picking my provider strictly based on where they are located or their
Mhm.
facility. I am picking it based on the person.
Yeah,
And so not knowing who would be here to actually offer that, I don't think you're going to get accurate results because sure, in theory,
Mhm.
I'm dropping my other kids off anyway. It makes perfect sense to take my kid right to the school. Right up until the person is not
yeah, there's a
up
lot of.
to a parent standard.
Sure.
yeah, there's a few steps, even if we wanna go that way, then it's the next step of actually finding the provider and making agreements and.
Yeah, well, yeah, Rebecca has one provider that's ready to go pretty much as soon as a space is available. I guess it's someone who had, I don't know the name of this person, but someone who had been providing care out of their home, just didn't want to have it out of their home anymore, but still wanted to do it just out of another location. And as far as like the lease agreements go and everything, I do already actually have sample documents of all those drawn up for other projects, so I can send those over for you guys to take a look at, or I can make, you know, certain changes to them, add certain things if, you know, you want them added, and you can take a look at them.
So we've got everything through our legal site as well too, so.
Yeah.
Right, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot here, cause I think in all reality, even if we decide this and the next time as the provider, then maybe our needs won't match theirs, I mean, there's a lot of communication that have to be before there's any agreement too, so. Cause you don't wanna just rush into it and then find out that we overcommit and then we need the room and it's. Yeah, was any other questions or input? I know there's a lot we have to absorb.
Yeah, I know it's a lot of info to kind of throw at everybody in one meeting, so I get it.
Appreciate the update.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thanks for coming in and. We're kinda letting Nate know too on the numbers are a little different to look at for him, so he knows, so.
Sure, yeah, and like I said too, if there's other numbers or other rental rates you want me to just put together so that we can see what the model looks like, I can absolutely do that, just feel free to give me a holler, have Dr. Crawford reach out and I can put together whatever you need.
Well, perfect.
Alright, thank you.
Well, appreciate the time.
Yes, absolutely, thank you for having me. Have a good night.
Thanks.
Alright. We'll move on to our board reports. I guess the only thing that I had was Colby's email, he was looking for volunteers for the dunk tank for open house, so I was gonna throw that out, remind everybody that open house is the second, right?
I already volunteered, you guys.
You did? Oh,
I'll have to sign.
I thought
Maybe you
you
didn't
said,
see that email.
you volunteered, or you just volunteered
I got
us?
volunteered, so.
Oh. So, thinking that the rest of the night here, I told Colby I'd update him, so. That's all I had, but I suppose we can move right on to our staff reports. Unless any other board members had anything to add or anything? Here now, we move on to the business manager, I guess Tim, if you wanna.
Sure, I'll just go over the finance report real quick. Just looking at board claims for general food and community. And then, again, over in the receipts, so, basically, general board claims for the month are a little over 115,000 there, and receipts are 110,000. I think we're waiting on our next state aid payment as well.
When does that come in?
They come quarterly, so it should be soon. Total claims there are 140, and then between board claims, those are the ones that'll get paid between when they're approved now and when they'll be approved next time. So that's actually pretty minimal. What's left in liquid assets? You see 123,000. Finance 183,000. Savings 142,000. Elementary and then student activities, those are split out. And then, as you can see, finance has outstanding checks, so we don't always get those cleared before board minutes. And we go to board bill fund summary.
Why does that Fund 7 have a $223,000?
And that for us to pay our,
Fund 7, which one?
In the construction?
That shouldn't be, I'll have to take a look, that shouldn't have anything in it. I'm wondering if that is debt service,
that's what I'm wondering, to
Yeah,
pay
I
out,
think
pay
that's-
the debt off.
cause construction is
receipts.
Fund 8, so that should be debt service, which is paying off construction costs, that's for our bond. So we collect money each month for debt service, and that debt service bill is paid in the bonds interest that are due in February,
Uh-huh.
so that's what that's accumulating.
Just labeled wrong, possibly,
What's that?
just quoted wrong.
I always thought construction was 7.
No, that's Fund 8.
I think it's 7.
We were told 7 at one time,
I think
I'll
it's
take a look.
7.
I'll take a look.
but just make sure it's in the right code.
It just looked weird having a number there.
Yeah, 'cause if you go to the other page too, it's listed under construction there too.
I'll take a look.
That's probably what it is, though.
Yeah, so it's,
It might be coded wrong, might have gone into the wrong fund too.
anything else that really jumped out for anybody? I scrolled through that too quick.
Let me know if there's anything you want to further review.
Other than that, I don't know, is anybody scrolling through our checklist and everything, so. Daktronics. What was Daktronics for? Is that a normal yearly thing, that's,
Yes.
okay,
That's for the correct Daktronics curriculum.
okay, the curriculum, okay. Well, other than that, I guess anybody else have see anything jumping out at them? Guess we can continue reviewing, but was there anything else on the finance side too?
I did get some instructions from Jordan on how to pull what our fund balances look like school-wide. I'm gonna start working on doing that and having that presentation then. I did speak with Sesso and did have a quote in there, so they'll basically do that for us when we get to that part. I'll explain more.
Okay. Otherwise, you have an activities director report too, or to share, or is that just what's
I sure
the
do.
agenda?
To just go over, basically in a summary, we got coach approvals, for fall sports. And then dates for starting fall sports. The golf tournament is September 4th, and then Hall of Fame is October 10th.
Last year was up to December.
I think they just, was in that meeting, I just think that was probably the most convenient day and it worked out per calendar.
Yeah, so they have everything listed on here. Any other comments for the activity director report? Alright, otherwise we can move on to our superintendent and principal report.
Alright, open ed update, enrollment looks good. working with OpenEd to fine tune the process moving forward. I just spoke with them yesterday about a couple more things. But ready to go. Chrissy Werner was who we hired for that temporary data entry position, so we finally got her in the system. She's working on those. I looked and she did several just last night, so. And for some reason, it was tough getting her to acquire a Gmail account, because she has a Gmail account with us, what she needs to enter in, and then get her in JMC, and then getting her connected with OpenEd. But she worked directly with OpenEd, and they got that squared away.
When's their deadline for getting everybody enrolled?
Oh, well, we have to have them enrolled. I mean, there's not really a deadline, but if, we're gonna only get paid for the days they're enrolled during our school year. So, I mean, I'm pretty sure she's gonna get them all enrolled. And then the next enrollment period will be coming up late December and January for the next semester.
What's realistic for her to get through in a day?
I don't know. She didn't get in until later last night, and there are probably 20 entered.
Oh, so it goes pretty quick.
Yeah, I mean, all the information's there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just transferred in.
Yeah.
That's the problem with JMC. So I understand JMC is a relatively inexpensive student information system, but it's also kind of difficult to work because there's no auto transfer. A lot of Infinite Campus is a good one that's used by a lot of schools in the state. We might look into that next year, just because they have plugins for everything. There's a plugin for OpenEd where those students are automatically transferred into the system. And you can do a million other things with it you can't do with JMC. But I'm sure, and I was approached by JMC at a conference one time, and I had my tech director look at it, and he said it just can't do what we need it to do.
Yeah.
Maybe in the future it will, but as of right now, it doesn't have that capacity.
You gotta rely on a lot of manual.
Yep, mostly all manual. Shipping containers. I did go down to the city hall yesterday, and I turned in the variance with a $300 check. I'll attend that council meeting. She did let me know when. We'll have to take it from there. So I'll testify on behalf of that. And then if we have to move them and it doesn't get approved, then we'll have to move them. That's just the way it is. It's really a miscommunication. And I hope somebody from City Hall is hearing, the council, I'm sorry. I mean, I apologize when I called Liddell. It was just a miscommunication. I think the issue was they think we inadvertently ignored the ordinance, which we didn't. Just a mistake, a misunderstanding, and Liddell was very grateful that I made that apology to him. And I asked him for that apology to the board, and actually when I emailed Rebecca, I apologized too. I mean, it's just something that happened. It wasn't anything malicious behind it, and I think Liddell realizes that, so we'll see how it goes.
For argument's sake, they look very nice, as though they belong there. And when you think about how they're being used to store equipment for our sporting teams that are playing directly right there, it is critical storage for us too, so.
Well, if you look
Just
at
be
it,
a bummer if they had to be
it doesn't
moved.
really disrupt the view anymore.
No,
Because they're on the other side of the permanent building that's already there, so, I mean, they're not blocking any more view.
yeah,
This isn't for us, it's for the community. It's
Yeah.
for our kids. It's for everyone who owns the district, which is everybody.
So I'll update the board after that. I'll see how it goes. Hopefully it's in our favor. I'll do my very best on that.
How long will it take to get the variance if,
It just would have to be approved, so it'll be on the next city council
City, okay.
agenda. Yeah.
I didn't know if they had to do something or if they can.
No, I think at this point, it's up to them. I mean, it's zone residential, it's R1, but yet nothing's going to be built there.
right,
That property is owned by the school district.
Mhm.
So it's not like we're hindering progress for residential housing or anything like that.
We actually did them a favor getting it off the other property that was.
I was just gonna say that, so we took it out of the middle of town, and I understand that that was a heated topic in the city of Lamberton, which is how the ordinance came about, but, I was looking at that zoning, maybe it would make sense to just have it rezoned.
That would go through county. I did talk with the attorney at one time about actually rezoning the old school.
Yeah,
And he said it would not be worth the legal fees he will put into it. So I'd say let's try this first.
okay,
So if they give us a variance, it's essentially like rezoning that footprint. So, I'm just hoping that, they realize it's nothing no ill intent, it was a mistake, miscommunication, and going forward, we'll make sure that doesn't happen again.
Cause the zoned area that's, they would be legal on is
About 20 yards to the
southeast. or
east, yes.
It won't look very good there either.
Well, it's just not as accessible. I mean, you would have to come in, I suppose, from the south on those driveways.
I think the biggest thing we need to realize is we wanna be partners with our city.
Yeah.
You know, so, don't just keep that partnership, and keep the relationship positive.
That's right, and some of them, I don't know if they went into as far to understand that, I think it's better where they're at, out of the way, where we could legally put them before. Just unknowingly, the difference in there, I mean, they've been right out in the open and,
Well, and to your point, that was a simple mistake.
yeah,
I would not, I guess, have
well,
known where the line exactly was there either.
but, and there was that $300 for each one, is that $150 for each, or is that for the
300
both?
variants, yeah.
Okay,
Just 300
just for that spot. Okay. Well, appreciate getting that done. And sorry to the community if that was taken that way, so. But as Dr. Godfrey said, there was no ill intent against that, so.
Small Rural Achievement Grant, Mr. Lee had, I don't know how long he had been, applying for this grant, but we received one last year when I came on board, we accepted this year, I applied for the grant. And we're gonna use those funds towards pre-K salaries. There's very specific things you can use it for, salaries and pre-K are one of them. That'll offset general fund costs on that. We still have an open traditional ed teacher position. I've been searching since Ms. Lindeman had resigned to take on the superintendent position at Lynn School District. We got one applicant, interviewed him, offered the position, he then declined, got hired elsewhere. I spoke with a company that does searches, they thus far have not been able to find a face-to-face person, so I asked them what the cost would be for virtual, and there you have it, $99,000. We do have a possible person who, in our district, who has a teaching license, fairly new to the field. We could hire that person on a tier 1 for special ed, get them in the special ed pipeline, which means basically the state pays for that, for him to get his degree, would be his master's degree in special education. Working on him, his mom's working on him, I won't divulge the name, but if she's listening, he's listening, know exactly who I'm talking to. And I will hound mom to hound son. Son does sub in our building quite a bit, so. Working on that, I also did ask, we have a new due process coordinator, which is our special ed coordinator, Angie Rogotsky. I asked her today just to give me a breakdown of the grade level of caseloads, with the exception of our speech language kids. So if worse comes to worse, we'll figure out how we can split it between 2 teachers. It'll be difficult, and I can help, and we have great support from the co-op. Also, I'll let you know, I know Director Keel knows, but our speech language pathologist resigned as of today. And I have contacted the co-op to see what the cost would be for tele-speech. So we have a smaller caseload here, which came on board last year, it was 23, which is far less than a normal caseload for a full-time speech language path, so. I talked with Julie Minich, our director, this afternoon, they have a meeting tomorrow, she's gonna see what the prospects are of getting us that support. So,
Yeah, because we'll definitely need that for our open ed students as well.
we'll need that for open ed for 5 kids, but 20-some kids in school. So last year, our speech language path came on board later because she was on maternity leave, she took family medical leave. We had to send out a compensatory support letter, basically saying that services will be doubled up to make for that time loss.
Mhm.
So that may be what happens now. I think though, if we can get a good coverage and a contract with the co-op, that's the direction we go from this point forward. I'm just a firm believer we don't have enough of caseload for SLP to have a full-time SLP. I mean, I've seen caseloads for itinerant teachers, which is what you call in related service itinerant teachers. I've seen SLPs with with the students. It's not, they don't sit down with the same student every single day for an hour at a
Yeah.
time. It's 15 minutes, maybe 1 or 2 times a week.
Yep.
So,
So as you have those discussions with the board, I think it's really important to have an in-person speech pathologist, so like as much as possible. We get a lot of feedback from families that like the telemedia speech sessions just were not
no, it's definitely.
productive.
No.
Near as effective.
I've used
No,
both in the past. I've used telespeech and
You'd think with 23, you'd be able to line it up.
yeah,
2
to,
days.
yep, to do it in your
Here.
2 days a week or whatever.
And-
Yeah,
we'll see what they can offer. I'll keep you guys informed on that.
sounds good.
I've used telespeech. Sometimes it's very successful and sometimes it's not. Usually it's about the adult that's in the room with the students
Mhm.
that are going through the session. That makes the difference. Because they're able to help keep the student on task, redirect any attention, things like that. But if you don't have that, then it could be a waste.
Yeah,
So how about our open ed kids? That'd be all virtual.
They'll be virtual, but whomever we hire for this will be doing it.
doing that
So
instruction.
if we still had in-house SLP, our in-house SLP would be servicing the open ed kids virtually. And that's really the only way we can do it. So I'll keep you updated on that. Mr. Pack and I met this morning with Superior, we talked about routes. Because we're taking the extra van route that's posted, we're not having any luck as of the moment, finding a driver for that route. So instead of going with the 6 full bus routes, Superior will be backing down to 5 regular routes and 1 van route. As you can see here, we're gonna have 4 school van routes. We have 1 route to ALC in Wyndham. The problem is with that, it's tough to hire like an in-house person to do that route who's already working. Because by the time they get back from Wyndham, school's already started, so it's tricky. And we do have that, but that's just a tricky thing. And then we will be renting a van route to Marshall this year. We have a student who will be continuing to receive services in I think it's called the Challenge Program. So that's what we're looking at. Overall, it'll save us money over what we anticipated adding that extra route.
So when you say we have not been able to find a driver, was that not the benefit of going with the service, that they were gonna always be able to take care of that and we would never have an issue finding drivers and?
No, for us.
Yeah.
For the
The-
van.
the- the-
So why is it a van, we were gonna go to 6 routes.
So the way we reconfigured routes, they don't have to run full bus.
Okay. So we don't actually need 6 routes.
No, so the 5 routes in a van. So they will be running 5 regular bus routes, 5 regular sized bus routes, and 1 van route.
So what is the change there? Because we just spent a meeting talking about the justification and not wanting your kids to be on the bus for an hour and a half.
So this is how that will be cut out. Because we have some kids that are, I'll just call it far south.
Yeah.
And then we have a bunch that are far east. And because we do open enrolled routes too, that puts us far out of our district boundaries. So we have, like if we looked at the routes today and we have some, they go up to Springfield, drop off, then Redwood drop off, and then vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
That's a long route. And then we have some routes that come down. I wish Mr. Pack was here to explain it. Some routes that come down and then jog out way east and back down south and straight. So this is eliminating those long routes.
Okay.
This is worked out. So we're picking up, van routes are going to pick up some of those outlier kids. So you have a regular bus route and say you've got 10 kids here, and you got 1 way over here, and then 1 way down here, and that's 1 route. And the reason is there's a cluster here, but there's only 1 here, 1 there. So it makes sense this bus driver goes over and picks them up too, but then that sets them off by 15, 20, 30 minutes. So one of our van routes will pick them up, that'll alleviate some of that time. So the van route will be short for that route, and then that will shorten the regular routes.
So it sounds like we were just able to make our van routes way more efficient.
Not just that, we picked up some new kids too, that are, and those outliers as well. So, I don't know, I think we added a van route, that probably makes it efficient on us. So we've added one of our own van routes, so
Uh-huh.
that probably makes it efficient as well.
I don't understand, because it's the same thing. It's the same thing as last year.
No, we didn't
It
have,
was just reconfiguring of the routes.
we didn't have that extra one,
But we did, we paid $65,000 for it.
Right, but we added a van route on us. So remember, we were gonna pick up that van route from Superior that they ran last year, and we we're gonna add another full-size bus route to Superior. What we've done is we've reduced what Superior needs to do because we also voted to add a van route. So we added a route ourselves. So we were going to pay much more.
Yeah.
Not much more, we were gonna pay more in cost this year because we added the bus route to Superior and added a van route to us.
So all of this, I guess, is just to say, our kids are not gonna be on the bus for as long as they were.
Exactly, and that's why
Okay.
we went this direction.
We all good for the number of vans and everything yet,
Yes.
too?
Yep, and we'll, I talked to Mr. Pack, I wanna get some data from our vans, years, mileage, and service records, so we can start doing, we need to develop a rotation.
That's what I was
Yeah.
wondering on how we're sitting.
I'm not sure that has been done in the past, but
Like some of our older vans, like we can't sell them, right?
you can sell,
Oh,
you
you
can
can?
sell anything.
Yeah.
The only thing you can't sell is if it was purchased with special ed money.
That's what it is.
By going to 5 routes versus 6 and throwing a van route on Superior, a van route on us, how's that compare to cost?
It's going to be a little less than, so we had gone from the 3 regular van routes, our routes, to 4 regular van routes. We had already voted on that. And we had gone from the 5 regular bus routes with Superior to 6 regular bus routes with Superior, so it's gonna be a little less.
Okay.
It's not gonna be exorbitant, I mean, we're not gonna see.
We're not going over,
No,
we're gonna come under,
yeah,
projections to come under budget, so
it's not gonna be like a huge cost savings, but it'll be cost savings.
that's not an additional cost.
Then I just wanna let everybody know, I have my NASA conference, September 27th through the 20th, so Sunday through Tuesday.
Is that? That's the same one you went last year?
Yep, I have 2 conferences, superintendent conferences, one in the fall and one in the spring. And they're already asking for breakout sessions from SBA, so if anybody wants to do either,
Well, that's true.
I love doing that, so if you're interested, let me know.
Okay,
I think the massive people need to rethink their strategy here, what they're planning in the fall. It's kinda dumb to have a conference like 3 weeks after everybody gets back to school. I'm sure no school is happy with their super happy
You
that.
would not believe the attendance, but that's, I think, usually higher attendance than the spring one.
That's so
But
crazy.
the problem is that changes, so one year it's in Duluth and the other year it's at Cragen, no, not Cragen. Is that Madsen's?
Madden's.
Madden's.
Yeah.
So when it's in Duluth, that's a tough one, it's lower, but you have a lot more people from the cities there.
Yeah,
It'll be interesting because it's good kickoff to legislative session too, so there'll be a lot of that in there. I do have a foundations, Massive Foundation Committee meeting this tomorrow actually, and then executive committee meeting Friday. Another thing is looking at the permanent school fund, and there will be a constitutional amendment on the ballot to increase the funds to schools. It won't make us rich, it's not gonna give us a lot of money, but it will increase our foundation aid. So when we start our community forums next month, that'll be a part of it. Create a video for our community about it, and then we're gonna just start blasting our community with vote yes information for that. No increase to taxpayers, school trusts, trust lands that were purchased back in the 1800s, and this trust was set up for schools. They're leased out for timber and mining and different things like that, energy. So all that money just has been pulled in a pot, and it's been used for foundation aid, and it's been used to pay schools. And now they wanna increase how much they deduct each year, and there's billions in there right now.
oh my gosh.
So when do you think you'll start the community forum meetings?
So it'll be Wednesday, I think. The Director Kill had sent out the message to cancel the work session the following Wednesday. So we'll start that, as long as it's not a school board. I think Wednesday works the best. That way we don't coincide with any activities. And we'll just start hitting them. I would like to do all 4 communities, and I'll start scheduling those, all 4 communities, and then have another one here at the school in the theater. Let's see what we can do. At least we'll get somebody to listen. I wanna advertise it in the paper too this time. I heard people say that if it were advertised in the paper, they would have known about it.
Mhm.
I'll schedule those, start scheduling them, I'll probably let you know next week, just because I'm gonna have to contact different venues to see.
That's good. And hopefully we get all 4 towns this year again.
I have an idea, we have the issue with Storden,
Or it was Jeffers.
Jeffers. I think I'll call one of the churches and see if we can do it at the church. And not Storden, somebody's wife. Put that one away.
Yeah. Plus, worst case, we have good access to the community center.
Well,
here's
I can make a phone call too to see if we can't get in there at no cost.
I also think we do Sanborn, golf course, and then we do Fort Scramble after.
Done.
And
I think we do it, that is.
I'll drive the golf cart.
You don't have to wear shorts.
I'm not gonna golf either. I'll drive.
I think that's something we should talk about, that'll be fun.
Fort Scramble.
Gotta do that one first, cause we'll be in the field right after that.
We'll start at 7 in the morning. And then
Yeah, we have all day.
Means we do tough.
I told him, my wife and I were able to sneak out, got to hole 5, 8 iron, right under the green, and then 3 putted.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
That's all I have. Any
That's all you
questions?
Any input for Dr. Godfrey or questions? Quite a bunch tonight. Alright. Otherwise, we can move on to our consent agenda. We have monthly bills, the minutes from, in which Troy has correction, contract approval for junior high volleyball for Lillian. And we have resignation, retirement, assistant basketball for Maddie Kruger. So we have a motion to approve our consent agenda.
We'll make a motion.
Megan makes a motion. We have a second.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Bruce. Any other questions or comments regarding our consent agenda items? Hearing none, all in favor to approve our consent agenda items, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries, approve the consent agenda. Next, we'll move on to our recognition, so. Donations, resolutions accepting donations and grants, whereas Minnesota statutes 123B subdivision 6 provides the board may receive for the benefit of the district request donations or gifts for any proper purpose and apply the same to the purpose designated in that behalf. The board may act as trustee of any trust created to provide pupils of the district with advanced education after completion of high school, in the advancement of education, and whereas Minnesota State Statutes 465.103 provides any city, county, school district, or town may accept a grant or device of real or personal property and maintain such property for the benefit of its citizens in accordance with the terms prescribed by the donor. Nothing herein shall authorize such acceptance or use for religious or sectarian purposes. Every such acceptance shall be by resolution of the governing body adopted by 2/3 majority of its members, expressing such terms in full. Whereas every such acceptance shall be by resolution of the governing body adopted by 2/3 majority of its members, expressing such terms in full. Therefore be it resolved that the school board, Red Rock Central, District 2884, hopefully gratefully accepts the following donations as identified before, and some anonymous donations of, first one's for $941, $941.65. Another donation of anonymous would be $200. Is that all for the backpack, both of them for the backpack program, or is it just the
That
bottom?
one's anonymous, that wasn't listed, so these are,
Okay.
Kaylee would typically take the donations, and we have a spreadsheet, running spreadsheet. There's just what you had listed in there.
Okay. Then we have PTA for beanbag board, students use. And I have a amount listed on that one, but then we have another one listed for PTA, our Red Rock Central PTA of $670 for the Falcon Awards program. 26 to 27. And then Casey and Monica Pack for a $320 for a memorial tree.
320, yeah,
320. What did I say?
300, oh, $20.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. I want to throw an extra zero.
There's a
in.
hyphen in there somewhere.
Yeah, I don't want to hyphen that. So $320. Do we have a move around for the vote to adopt the resolutions? We go around for all in favor to
Roll call.
roll call vote to accept the donations?
Well, yes.
Erickson, yes.
Warner, yes. Yes.
Grant, yes.
Imker, yes.
And Keel, yes. The vote on the adoption of the resolution was all in favor. Whereupon the said resolution was declared duly adopted by Red Rock Central School Board 284. So thank you all for the donations, and you can find that on our agenda as well. So we move on into our old business, which none is listed. Skipping right into our new business, which approve our strategic planning contract with Better You. I guess, was there, Tim can follow up with that?
Wade McKittrick met with us at our special meeting, discussed what the services that provide for the amount of $11,200. Move into the next 5-year strategic plan. Cost is very comparable with what even MSBA would do. I do like the process because it brings our stakeholders really deep into the discussion.
So it's listed here in the contract and very well spelled out, just like you did on with the stuff you shared the other night. Is there any other comments or questions regarding this from the last meeting, and before we move on to the approving it?
I think it's a good idea.
I think it is too. I had shared with Tim too that I think it's really important as part of this, or as we move forward, to identify our pillars too. And as part of this, and just focus on what we want that to look like. I think it'll be good.
I think we need like guiding values that as a district holistically we stick to.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the way it sounds like the community is gonna be able to be more involved, or welcome to be more involved, like numbers too, then we can get a true vision on what they want to see from their district.
He said he goes to all different.
Yeah.
All 4 communities.
So like when he does the other communities, he'll find a place there to meet them there versus have long
Yeah.
drive all the way
Yeah.
up.
Which needs to happen.
And he knows the region very well.
Is there any other questions or regarding this, or otherwise we have a motion to approve our strategic planning contract with Better You?
I'll make a motion.
Brian makes a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Bruce will second that. And that's, Brian and Bruce made the motion, approve the strategic planning contract with Better You, and that's $11,200. Any other questions, comments? Hearing none, all in favor to approve our strategic planning contract with Better You, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries to approve our planning contract with Better You. We'll move on to approve the CESCO, is that how you pronounce it?
So,
CESCO business management contract.
so I met with DD at CESO, and we just kind of discussed what our needs are. As you can see, the things I asked for are simply, well, basically what Jordan was doing. And one thing I wanted to go in, especially as the audit hits full ground, I want them to go in and just do a review of everything in SMART to make sure that we have things coded right. Sometimes it's hard to figure out what to code something under, so it's being pulled under one bucket when it should be pulled under this bucket gets low, this bucket doesn't move. Go in there and clean that up. Jordan did that for us. Comprehensive monthly board report, much like Jordan, I actually shared what Jordan was doing for us and said I want something similar, and we'll work through that. And then just monitor communicate fund balances. I like, they always say, well, we can't give you true fund balances because it could be outstanding checks. It's like, but you can give me an idea.
Mm-hmm.
So I want fund balances to be able to look at what our position is, and we can, the way we used to do with my business manager, we got a percentage of where we were spending down that fund. So if it's 25% through the year, we better not have spent down more than 25% of that fund. So it's a way to track that along, so we can know if we're halfway through the year, but we've spent 75% of that fund balance, we need to see what we need to adjust. So it's a way for me to stay on top of that. And then help with planning and budgeting in the spring. And that's it. And that's not a bad cost. It's a lot less, $135 an hour. I told her it's kind of an as-needed basis, so I think $139 an hour is pretty consistent, really, with what Jordan was charging too.
I like that it's an hourly rate, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because there may be times I can say, hey, I don't need that service
Right.
this month.
Yep.
I do like the presentations for the board every month, though. They're really, it's very right nailed down to what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's helpful, I think, especially for you guys when you ever have to explain anything to a community member, you have the details.
We're just gonna make sure
Or you just tell them, call me.
the call,
I like that.
put it on you. We just gotta make sure to read the party by 90 days, written notice prior to September 1st of 27 if we.
And that gives us plenty of time. I mean, a miracle might come along and we get a steady business manager from the co-op. I don't know, I think this is great service. I've been working with Christine at the co-op, she's been very helpful, but she's also helping many other people.
Mm-hmm.
You only do so much.
So are we gonna reduce our co-op agreement down to,
No, we had, so,
Okay.
yeah, we already had, so we were looking at possibly jacking it back up again.
oh, okay,
To replace with Jordan Sting, so we won't have to do that.
okay,
I see on here, it's just a normal thing for, therefore after, with the 4% increase, automatic increase, is that a normal?
Yep, 3 to 4%, that's what you're gonna see. And that just accounts for wages, overhead, inflation, consumer price index, all that.
and this was like one of the only school business.
Yes, so there were two, and they acquired the other one. So just expand their ability. That might be why the cost is what it is too, to expand their ability to serve districts, so they're gonna reduce cost. It came in a lot lower than I thought it would.
Mm-hmm. I'll make a motion to move forward with the contract with Sesso.
Megan brings a motion to bring forward the Seska business management contract. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Troy will make a second. Any other questions or comments before we
I just think
vote?
it's really important right now to have as many eyes on our financial situation as.
Clear vision. Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor to approve the Sesco business management contract at $135 an hour, say aye.
I
Opposed? Motion carries. Then we're moving down to our next order of new business here, or the discussion on Director of Online Learning. It's on the agenda.
If I can make a comment, thinking about this, and I know what the discussion was, I would like to decline being offered something like that. Maybe in the future superintendent contract adding that direct lane, but if you were to offer this now or even next year, I would say I'd respectfully decline that. Spent the weekend chatting with my Monaga colleague, as the enrollment in OpenEd increases, the work's gonna increase.
Mhm.
I'm in contact with OpenEd every day. Ms. Warner came in, we sat down for a while. I mean, it's not an exorbitant amount of work, but it's work, but I don't think it correlates to developing a director of online learning position.
I think we need to address it next contract then.
Yeah.
So you just need to,
Especially if we go through, a few months of what it's gonna entail,
I think,
It's all new.
right, for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I think once we know the structure and how everything's gonna pan out, then we can actually know what the job duties will.
Let's hope it
Maybe
is
the
just a
percentage.
massive amount of work. Cause that means a massive amount of money to come with it.
So there's,
You just pick.
you said there's 3 districts in the state with open ed right now?
3 districts in the
Who's,
state.
who's the third one?
DWF, GWF, gosh.
GFW
GFW.
Yeah.
Oh,
also just did a building project.
Yep.
Oh, they also built a $5 million truck.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice.
Guess what they built that with? Guess where the money's came from?
How long have they done it?
I think they're in their second year now, third year? Second or third year.
Then, yeah, we'll just see, I think, yeah, the next superintendent contract and we just
Reassess.
reassess the job duties and,
Well,
I mean, yeah, what's needed, I guess, if that's needed to be included or if it's, I think for simplicity, we keep it under. That's kind of what it sounds like you're open to keeping
Yeah,
it simple and
I just think at this time especially, it's not something I would be interested in having assigned. I mean, the dude, yes, the title, no.
okay.
so then let's just table it for a future date.
We need a motion to table.
Do we have
I will make the motion to table.
We're gonna make a motion to table the director of online learning. We have a second,
Second.
seconded by Jake. Any other questions or comments regarding this, the tabling? Hearing none, all in favor to table the director of online learning, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We'll table that for a future date. Well, we're really at the end of our meeting already. We'll move on to our succeeding meetings. Regular board meeting would be,
Yeah, I don't know why that's up there.
yeah, I guess our school board retreat will be the 24th at the Legion, 5 p.m. Then I made a note to cancel our September 2nd.
Yeah, I've just been told and send that message out on Facebook.
Yeah, we've seen that too, so. And then the next regular meeting for the September 16th at 5 p.m., so. Any other questions regarding the future meetings?
I was just gonna say, cause I don't know if the retreat will be streamed, but
They won't.
open house is going to be on the second. And I believe there are a lot of fun things that are being planned, so,
Yeah, I worked with the PTA. I don't know if you're keeping it secret, so I'll keep it a moment.
yeah,
But yeah, there are some really.
it's a little bit bigger deal, I think, this year than it has been in years past.
Can't
right.
wait to welcome everybody.
Yeah, so for those families that have not,
You know, especially.
I know, it's gonna be a big deal.
but if those families that have not always come, maybe come again this year, cause I think there's gonna be a lot of fun things.
Yeah, it's an exciting start of this year, I believe. There's some changes in place and I think we're all excited to start a new year, so. But just remember, yeah, September 2nd open house, so thanks for saying that, so.
Yeah.
Hearing that, I guess I'll call for adjournment. Thank everybody for coming again, thanks Marcia. Good, Bruce. Bruce, I was on the agenda.